people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to...
Hello again and welcome to On Tour as we continue to look at the West Indies versus South Africa series being played, of course, in St. Lucia at the Darren Sammy Cricket Stadium. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, it doesn't matter if the West Indies bat first or second, they still continue to have some batting problems. And a look at the scorecard as how things finished on day 2 in that second test match. South Africa were able to get up to 298 after being 212 for 5. And the West Indies were bowled out for exactly half that score, 149 to trail by 149 runs. Now in South Africa's 298, Quinton de Kock again leading the way. He got 96, just short of what would have been a 7th test century in back-to-back one for him. And he was out dismissed for 96. With Dean Elgar, of course, making all of his runs on the opening day, he made 77. A whopping 44 extras there for the West Indies. As Kyle Mears, the part-time Seymour, perhaps he's going to be modelling himself now as a genuine all-rounder, having figures of 3 for 28. And Kemar Roach, who worked so hard and tirelessly, he had 3 for 45. In the 149 for the West Indies, Jermaine Blackwood was actually the last man out. He was out for 49. And Shai Hope, who made a measured 43, the only 2 batsmen to make anything of substance for the West Indies, as they were again shut out in a very paltry fashion. Wan Mulder, 3 for 1. Rabada, 2 for 24. Ngidi, 2 for 27. And Maharaj, 2 for 47. Like I said, the Windies trailing by 149 after being bowled out for 149. Let's go straight then to our panel and talk first of all to Sir Clive Lloyd, the former Ghana and West Indies captain. Sir Clive, another very poor batting performance from the West Indies. What really happened and what really went wrong for them on this occasion, since they got what they wanted, which was to get at South Africa, try and get them out for a small score, but then their batting was again the problem?
Yes, they bowled quite well and restricted them to less than 300, which was a good effort. But then again, the batting, they started badly. They got a couple of, 1 or 2 fluky decisions, and I would want, and that sort of set the West Indies back a bit. I think we have to get rid of this umpire's call situation, if it is possible. I think, if he had said not out to Powell, he would have been still batting. And the point, I would give the West Indies a little bit of credit. The batters looked much better. They got behind the ball, and they played the pace much better this time around. And it's a pity that they didn't get to somewhere close to the South African total, because then you can say game on. But the point is that you have to give some credit to South Africa. You can see that they had a plan, they worked towards it, and but I didn't see Mulder getting 3 for 1. But the point is that they are now in the ascendancy, and the West Indies will really have to bowl very well to keep themselves in this game.
Johnny Barron, how do you see it?
Yes, I think it was a pretty good start for West Indies. They probably shaded that first session, having taken the last 5 wickets for 80 runs, stopping de Kock getting to 100, and also restricting South Africa to under 300. But probably the damage actually was done yesterday, really, from that point of view. But then, well, with the bat in hand, I mean, there were real problems. 3 really scrappy dismissals to kick off with. That brush of the glove, the strangle down the leg side for Brathwaite to go first ball. Then, of course, that decision that Clive Lloyd talked about. I think the West Indies had 3 umpires' calls that didn't go their way. The first one that South Africa does go their way. Things like that don't help. Then a catch at short leg that could have gone anywhere, to be honest, off Roston Chase. A nightmare start, really. But you have to understand, South Africa have got a very, very fine attack. Nortje is one of the quickest around next to Stark. Rabada, as an example, is one of the quickest ever to 200 wickets. They're not to be taken lightly. But then the icing of the cake, Mulder at the end of the day, taking 3 for 1. Extraordinary stuff. But West Indies miles behind the 8 ball now.
Tino Best, your take.
Well, to be honest, Barry, I thought the West Indies bowled really well. They were patient. The court played marvelously once again, leading from the front for the South Africans. And to restrict a test team as good as South Africa under 300. Well, you have to say to the bowlers, well, bowl. I think that the West Indies fell down with the batting, as the two guys said before me. The decisions. Barry, at one stage, I wanted to tweet, and I just had to hold myself back because at the end of the day, you get a little emotional because of the umpire's call, and I think it should go even as the Clive said. But really and truly, West Indies again, you got to make ugly runs. You got to fight. I really, really was impressed with the way Blackwood really batted. He played within himself, and the only fault shot was the slug sweep there at the end, batting with Shannon Gabriel. But look, game's still on. If West Indies come out and bowl well this morning and get some wickets, Barry, I think there's still an opportunity to not only to win the game, not only to let's say to save the game, but to win the game. If they come out and bowl well, restricting South Africa for under 150, you never know. Cricket is a glorious game of uncertainty. So I'm backing the boys to do well in the second gig.
Johnny, as I come to you, let's look at a little bit at Quinton de Kock, because we're going to kind of dissect the day. De Kock looking for his 7th Test century. How well did he bat to kind of shepherd the South Africans amid some very good bowling from the West Indies?
I think it's been a masterclass for de Kock, really, both in the Test match. South Africa were in real trouble when he came in at 4 wickets down. And likewise, of course, when he came in the position that he came in this Test match, he's batted absolutely brilliantly throughout. And the fact that he almost got that second 100, I think had he have got that 100, of course, South Africa would have pushed on way beyond 300. But I think de Kock has been absolutely outstanding in this Test match and in the previous Test match. And coming, of course, off the back of 4 single-figure scores in Pakistan, it's been an absolutely superb effort by the wicketkeeper batsman.
Tino, I'm going to just bounce back to you because I like to discuss fast bowling with you. What is the strength of a Kyle Mears? 3 for 28. He will, he's not picked, of course, for his bowling, but has come in handy in Sri Lanka against Sri Lanka and now in this innings against South Africa. What is special about him as a bowler?
Obviously, you know what Curl reminds me of. Many years ago, your cousin Kurt Wilkinson had a golden arm for Barbados many years ago. When things were going tough, Courtney Brown will always turn to Kurt, and Kurt developed himself into a very decent little medium pacer, and that's what Kyle, beg your pardon, have to work on. Just hit the nets, bowl more, and be more consistent, because in CPL he has opened the bowling. And get the ball to swing. And he's a trump card, and he's somebody that can go places. I just want to see him working a lot harder on his batting. At the end of the day, this is Test cricket, and he just has to find a way to make runs. Make ugly runs, as Sir Clive said all the time. But his bowling, Barry, it can get better, he can get stronger, and once he loves bowling, I think he can be a genuine all-rounder.
So Clive, Kemar Roach, she's been the workhorse all of a sudden in this West Indies team. Well, should he have had more than the 3 wickets he eventually ended up with?
No, I think the point is that he is the workhorse, and that is why I think we need a tear-away fast bowler. We need somebody that will sort of scare people out. Somebody that will put the shivers up the spine of the batsman. And the point is that until we do that, he's going to be, at his age, he's going to bowl thereabouts. He's not going to be as menacing as he should be. But if he has somebody creating problems at the other end, I am sure that he would get a lot more wickets, and some of the other bowlers too. That is why I feel that Alzari has got a raw deal. Alzari should be playing in this side. He can bat. He'd be the menace to these batters. South Africa hasn't really got anybody menacing them really in this Test series, and I thought he would have provided that. And then you have Roach there. And then you have this young man who's lively, but just needs to settle down and bowl the right line and length more often. I think the coaches, if you look at him, he's running too wide. He's not going to get the ball to swing as late, and it's going to be difficult to get LBWs, of such. So I think he needs to get somebody to look after him, really, and make sure that he understands this is Test cricket, and you've got to be consistent. You know you've got to bowl a line. You can't give away runs of such. The other thing is that when I look at Mayers, batted very well. He looked well till he got behind the ball, but they must understand too that a bowler will give you 2 or 3 fours, and if he gets your wicket, then he's done his job. You've got to bat until the cows come home. You've got to, you not do. Once you relax, he was concentrating. The guy brought on the spinner, and then you must realize too why he brought the spinner on. And once you've understood that, you milk him. You hit him for 4, get 1s, 2s, and you're still batting. And I thought that they threw away a good chance, and they faced a lot of the fast bowlers and did very well. If 2 or 3 of those guys had made a 40 or a 50, we'd have been very close to their score. And then it would be a much better 3rd, 4th, or even a 5th day.
All right, you're watching On Tour. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to keep the discussion going about the West Indies batting. Stay with us.
To the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand.
Welcome back to On Tour. Then, of course, the West Indies bowled out for 149, exactly half the score of what the South Africans made, 298, a resumption just about 9:45 once the rain is not falling in St. Lucia. Let's continue the discussion then about the batting of the West Indies, which continues to be a real pain to watch at sometimes. Tino Best, as I come to you, we spoke about Jermaine Blackwood and how well he batted. Let's discuss a little bit about Shai Hope. He did all the hard work in making 43 before he was dismissed. A talk about his innings.
To be honest, he looked a lot better today. He played the ball a lot later, and to be fair, he is a talent, and that is something that no one can take away from Shai. But he just needs to score runs. He's a number 3. If you want to keep playing, he has to score runs at number 3. But really and truly, I thought that the South Africans were a little bit more patient. They didn't try to blow him away, and Shai was patient as well. It's unfortunate he got out to Ngidi in the end. But when you work so hard in a test match, you got to cash in. And I was disappointed that he was dismissed, but that is the game. And, that little 40 would give him a lot of confidence going forward.
We don't want to be biased on the program at all, so I'm going to go to Johnny Barron and look at the bowling of the South Africans and how impressive it was. This South African team, they have the luxury of having a number of seamers and some really good fast bowlers. Let's start from the top. Kagiso Rabada. His early wicket set the tone, and he finished with 2 for 24.
Yeah, Rabada was absolutely superb. A little lucky, to be honest, to get Craig Brathwaite first up. I think the South Africa, it was an afterthought, wasn't it? Whether they were going to go for the review. I think we 1 second, and then immediately you saw the spike off the glove. What a nightmare start, you have to say, for the West Indies. But Rabada, I think, has been superb in this Test match. Of course, 5 wickets in the second innings in the first Test match. He was absolutely superb today.
We haven't heard a lot, Johnny, about Wan Mulder. Tell us about it, because 3 for 1, when you go back in the history books and you look at that, you probably think that this man was some tear-away special kind of bowler.
Yeah, I think Wan Mulder is just one of those classic South Africans, the kind of bits and pieces player where he's got a little bit of batting and he's got quite a skilled bowler. He's not enormous in height. He's not particularly quick through the air either, but he's skillful and he's workmanlike. And he had the ability today to come on in that position and just clean up the tail. It was perfect from the South African point of view because it enabled them just to keep that gap or that margin of difference between the two sides at that really very manageable level. I thought Mulder was superb today.
Tino, why is Ngidi such a special cricketer? He's just got just over 30 Test wickets, still young in his career, but he's so highly touted. What makes him so special as a fast bowler?
I remember a while ago, Otis Gibson spoke about Ngidi, and South Africa has always produced a lot of good black fast bowlers, and really and truly, Makaya Ntini has really set a high bar for those. young black cricketers from the townships to come through. And really and truly, he is highly thought of. He's a big unit, and he's a good cricketer. I when they're talking about him and Rabada, I think Rabada is a more grounded fast bowler. And Giddy I still think he can lose another maybe 4 or 5 kilos off his frame, and I think that he will be a much more quicker bowler as well. But really and truly, he is a talent. He does a lot with the ball, and at the end of the day, I think that South Africa got 2 quality fast bowlers. They have always had quality fast bowlers, but to have 2 good black fast bowlers is really, really good to see. And, you know, I want him to do well, but just not against the West Indies.
So, Clive, you know, we speak about Rabada, we speak about Ngidi, we had a little look there at Mulder, but the captaincy of Dean Elgar will be pleasing the South African authorities, pleasing the officials, because they turn to him and he seems to be delivering, and he seems to have the team members of South Africa playing with him. As a former great captain yourself, are you seeing that as well?
Yes, it's obvious that when you look at this, all the plans seem to be coming together. So it's obvious that they've worked on what they have to do, and it's all coming to fruition. He seems cool when he's batting. He's quite compact. He batted intelligent. He faced a lot of balls the other day. He played a captain's knock, and you can see that the players warmed to him. And yes, he's doing a very good job, and I think he would have this job for a long while if they continue to do as well. They have a very good bowling attack. The batting, they've got a lot of young players coming through. But once they've gelled, I think they can be a very formidable side in the future.
Johnny, as we look at the South African team and we look at how the West Indies are shaped up, is it fair to say that we kind of perhaps might have been overrating the West Indies based on their performance against Bangladesh and based on their efforts against Sri Lanka?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think we've underestimated South Africa and forgotten what a brilliant test side they were just 3 years ago, and they are rebuilding. I think as far as the West Indies is concerned, it was a terrific effort, wasn't it, away against Bangladesh, and a solid performance against Sri Lanka. But this is a really good side, South African side. This attack would give anybody a run for its money. And that's the bottom line here. When you've got better bowlers, you're probably going to win the test matches.
Yeah, very well said. We tend to underrate and underestimate bowling at times. You're watching On Tour. When we come back, Shai Hope is going to speak to the media and perhaps try and make sense of what's going on in this test match. You're watching On Tour on FlowSports.
To the top, it's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to the top, it's time to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to...
Welcome back then to On Tour. West Indies and South Africa should be restarting on day 3 in just a moment. Just a reminder of the scores: South Africa 298, the West Indies bowled out for 149. Let's hear now from Shai Hope.
How do you reflect on the day?
Pretty average for us, I'd say. We want to be in a better position than this, obviously. I think that we worked very hard yesterday to limit them to that score overnight, and to basically undo all that hard work with the bat. Then that's the unfortunate position that we're in at the moment.
Let's go back to the start of the day's play. I mean, South Africa, I'm sure, were looking to go past that 300 mark and go some way past it, because you guys tracked them down pretty well. Yeah, definitely. I must commend the bowlers for the job they've done. Again, we worked really hard yesterday, and it's just nice to see that the bowlers can come and finish the job today. But it just so happened that the batsman didn't do the job today. And unfortunately, the skipper didn't last long. Just the first ball, you had to get out there straight away. I mean, how did you find that? It was a bit of a rush, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. You spent
so much time in the field, no time for your feet up.
Yeah, very much so. As having spent so much time in the field, obviously would want to have a bit of time up, get a nice stretch, probably an ice bath if you can. But just the way cricket goes, sometimes anyone can get out at any point in time. So hopefully we can turn things around tomorrow and get back into the game.
You made 43, well played yourself. You would like to kick on, obviously. But some hard yards against those South African quicks. How tough are they?
decent bowlers. I must give them credit. Cricket is one of those games where, well, whoever plays the best on the day will come out on top. But they are quality bowlers, and we need to make sure we can find a game plan to combat their skills and come up on top.
And do you find they complement each other well? They all got different attributes that they bring to the game?
Yeah, most definitely. I can see they work in tandem pretty well. The bowlers have clear plans when they bowl at you. So as a batsman, you just need to make sure you're switched on and focused all the way through.
You're probably sick to death of seeing Quinton de Kock, you guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
How do you rate his performances?
I'm doing very good. Nice to see he's being consistent. As a batsman, you want to score consistently, and he's been doing that for South Africa.
Okay, so Blackwood out for 49 right at the end. His resistance is also good, but a disappointing end. So now you got some hard yards tomorrow.
Yeah, most definitely. We've been doing a lot of hard work leading up to this series, and just saw that we didn't get the big scores that we want. And it's credit goes to Blackwood again for his innings today. I think that he's been putting in a lot of work as well behind the scenes. So it's unfortunate that we didn't have the partnership to go on a lot deeper with him to build a crucial score, but it's how it goes sometimes.
Shay, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Shai Hope. And unfortunately for him, out for 43 on day 2. We start our wrap-up now. Let's start with our summary. We'll go to Tino Best. Summary number 1, Tino. I say summary and also a look ahead on day 3. Your expectations for day 3?
To be honest, West Indies need wickets this morning up front. They need to get wickets in that first session. If they get 2, get 3, it puts them in the game. And as I said, look, at the end of the day, cricket is a glorious game of uncertainties. You don't know. West Indies, you come and bowl out South Africa 110. Yeah, that's how crazy it is. But they need wickets, and for South Africa, they're going to bat the entire day and try to bat West Indies out the game. So it's going to be a very interesting day and first session.
I see Johnny Barron next to you, pinching you. I don't know why. Perhaps he thinks that you're dreaming. I don't know. Johnny, why are you pinching Tino? Is he not talking something that's making sense? Is it not reality that they can be bowled out of 110?
It's a good question. Look, the third innings of a test match notoriously is the biggest banana skin in the game. Many sides who've held the ascendancy have gone into that third innings and not quite known how to go about it with the bat and have mucked up. It's going to take something enormous, you feel, for the West Indies to try and knock South Africa over for something manageable. But it's happened. And you only have to look at, in that test match, the first test match against Bangladesh, they were miles behind the 8 ball. They knocked him over and they chased 300 plus, didn't they? Very, very different scenario, of course. Very different attack. But you've got to have hope from a West Indies point of view.
And finally, Sir Clive Lloyd, the last word is with you.
Well, anything can happen. And the third day is going to be a very interesting day. South Africa would be happy with the lead they have, but the West Indies will have to go at them hard. They'll have to try and restrict them to not, anything over 300 odd will be a difficult task. But the point is, as they say, cricket is a game of great uncertainty. But the point is that it's going to be a difficult situation on the third day if the South Africans get a very good start and put some pressure on them. Because don't forget, if they don't lose early wickets, you'll have to start to defend. So, and then again, the bowlers only, they've bowled every day so far, and so they must be slightly tired. So there again, you have to look at that. If our main fast bowler is going to be fit enough to bowl the amount of overs that they expect him to bowl, and they really have to make some early inroads. It's interesting, but it's not going to be an easy task.
All right, thank you so much. Well, day 3 about to resume. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Sir Clive Lloyd, Johnny Barron, and Tino Best. Until tomorrow, then, we continue to look at the highlights and analysis on tour. West Indies versus South Africa. Bye-bye for now.
It's time to jump up, people, are you ready? When